All right, so let's get started. So I just wanted to go over, first of all, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to just sit here and listen to all this. One of the things I want to start with is, what do I offer as a realtor? As a realtor, I've been in the business for about 5 years, and I've been able to help a lot of families. I've been able to help over 55 family in the 5 years that I've been doing this now. I do have a team also that are able to help. Chantel and Jessica, they're buyer agents, so they're able to help you. And I also have an administrative assistant named Andrea, who's also able to help you. So you have an entire team, not only one agent, you have a big group that's here to help you. One of the things that I do as a realtor, like I mentioned, I do have a lot of knowledge because I have a lot of individuals that I know. As you can see here, I was able to get a group of professionals. You can only imagine the amount of investors that I know that have off-market property that they don't want to put on the MLS. So I'm able to provide you with that off-market homes. I also work with investors that are just looking to, they bought a home very inexpensive, they don't want to fix it up, and they just want to sell it as is. So I'm able to also connect you and show you those properties. One of the things too, I don't know if you guys have been looking through Zillow, but I don't know if you noticed that sometimes when you're looking online and checking in Zillow, a lot of the properties that you think are available, unfortunately, are not. So when you use me as your realtor, I will provide you with information from the MLS that will be up to date. One of the things too is that I spot a lot of potential problems because I look at homes almost every day. I'm able to spot things. One of the things that I tell the buyers that I work with is that once you walk into the home, the first thing you want to start looking at the ceilings. You want to see if there's any spots in terms of leaks. You also want to look at the floors. You want to also see, especially homes that are renovated, you want to be able to see if these homes have, for example, the floors are uneven, maybe the light switch is a little crooked. That's giving you a little bit of insight of how this investor works and how potentially they cut corners in the property. So you want to make sure that you're looking at every little detail. Always look at the furnace. You want to make sure if it's oil or gas, because they're very different in pricing. Also, I have great negotiation skills. My job is to get you the best deal that I possibly can for you. For example, just today, I had a buyer that we showed home over the weekend, and she went to see a home. There were 20 people looking at that home. They had an open house. And in that property specifically, they had a lot of offers. They had 10 different offers. And this buyer actually got the home at 418. It was listed at 400. We went up to 418, but we went and outbid someone who put an offer at 450 because we had better terms and condition. So it is not only about price, it's also about terms and condition, which I can definitely go more into detail with you guys. And as I mentioned here, I do have a lot of networks. We have here from banks to appraisals to inspectors, and they do provide a lot of discounts because I use them all the time. So we have an attorney here that you're able to use, and he is going to give you an amazing deal. So let's go to the next one here. Now, when I work with a buyer, one of the first things that I like to do is kind of hold your hand and really identify what are your needs, what are your wants, and what are your wishes, right? You want to make sure if your need is having the school near you or being near the train or having parking because you need to be closer to work or you don't want to drive around for hours looking for parking, that's a need. A want can be like, you know what, I might want an attic so I can have storage in there. That's a want. And a wish is like if I have a renovated basement, renovated attic, and I have everything brand new, that's a wish, but you have to really stay focused on what your needs are. One of the other things too is that there's three things when you're buying a home. You have to focus on the price, the condition, and the location. Unfortunately, you can't really have all three in today's market. So you want to really focus on what are your top two. Is the location and the inside of the property, or is it the price and the location? So that is going to really help you identify where you want to focus on. Just like it was mentioned today earlier with NHS, you want to make sure what location you want to move into. So that way you'll know what programs will specifically help you in that specific location. So that's why it's so important for you to really figure out where do you want to live in, what location. Now, buying a home today, because of COVID, a lot of things have changed. One of the things that have changed is that we're getting a lot of virtual tours now. A lot of agents, including myself, when we list the home, we are now doing a virtual tour. So that way it saves you time and it also protects you and your family from having to go see homes. So one of the things that I do do for a lot of my clients is that I do virtual tours. I show them what's available, and then we try to focus on choosing 3 to 5 homes so that you can actually physically go and see those homes. We are also required now, just like it was mentioned earlier, you have to be pre-approved. Before, you were able to go walk in an open house, you were able to go and see a home without being pre-approved, but now you have to be pre-approved because that shows the homeowner, one, that you're serious, and two, they also want a lesson from them possibly being affected with COVID. And also you have to sign this COVID-19 disclosure. This disclosure is just basically stating that you don't have COVID and that the homeowner is aware that you don't have COVID or any family members or anything like that. And also what's happening in the market. I'm not sure if you guys have been listening, but a lot of homes, especially in Long Island, are being sold over asking. I just gave you guys an example of a home was listed for 400. They had offers up to 450 for that house. So and the reason why that's happening, I want to say is, one, people no longer want to live in crump up apartments. They're realizing that they're paying $2,500 in rent. They can actually pay their mortgage with $2,500. So this is the reason why. The other thing too, if you think about it, the COVID stopped us for 3 months from actually buying and selling real estate. And interest rates are so low right now that people are just like, hey, I want to take advantage. I no longer want to live crumped up in an apartment. I want to take advantage of this low interest rate. I want to take advantage of all these programs that was presented to you guys today. So this is why you're having so many buyers, but the sellers right now are getting a little bit nervous. They don't want to put their home on the market. So now you have more buyers, less inventory. So you want to make sure that you're working with an agent that is going to guide you, like myself, that's going to make sure that you get the right home and that you jump right into it. Not, let's say, get your home right away tomorrow, but at least identify what your wants are and your needs. And that's going to make you make a decision quicker, because I don't know if you guys realize last year compared to this year, prices have gone up, especially in Long Island. And I want to go over a little bit over a seller concession in case you don't qualify for any of these programs with SONIMA or NHS. There's also called a seller concession. I do have a video on YouTube where you can see what the pros and cons of a seller concession. Basically, it states that if you do not have enough money for your down payment, right? Let's say you have $10,000 just for the down payment, but you can't cover the closing costs, which could be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, really depending on the location, the price of the home. That can actually be rolled over into your mortgage. What that means is that now the closing costs, you will be able to pay it over time, just as if you were getting that specific loan. So you no longer have to come with thousands of dollars to the closing table. So that's why you want to work with a realtor that understands what a seller concession is, knows how to explain that over to a listing agent, and also have a great attorney that will also be able to explain that over to a seller's attorney. And inspection versus appraisal. I just really wanted to go over this quickly. Sean already spoke over the appraisal. We have the inspector boys, Bridget, who is going to talk about inspection. I just want to, again, just remind you guys, you're buying a very expensive home. You want to do an inspection. You want to make sure what is wrong with this house. You want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. There are two very different things. The appraisal goes in, checks the value of your home. The inspector goes in, opens things for you and actually go deep and see what is wrong with that house. They check the interior, the exterior, they check everything. And Bridget will go more over that. And submitting offers, right? One of the things I just wanted you guys to see how submitting offers look like. It's a documentation that it does not mean that you're binded. So if you maybe look at 2-3 homes and you like all 2-3 homes, I always tell my clients, let's go ahead and submit offers to all 3, and then you decide versus a seller decide. So a offer to purchase doesn't necessarily mean that you're binded in a contract. It just says that you're giving them an offer. Now, when you go into contract is when we have an attorney who's Ryan. He's going to go over more into the contract and what the difference are. And contract signing. So after the inspection is done, we get a report that is sent out over to the attorney. They discuss the contracts usually sent from the seller's attorney to the buyer's attorney, and your buyer attorney reviews everything. And if there's any changes, then they will go ahead and communicate that over to the seller's attorney. Normally, you have to put a good faith deposit. It could be from $10,000 up to 10% of the purchase price. After the seller signs the contract, becomes an executed contract, and that executed contract gets sent over to Sean or your loan officer, and that's when the whole process starts. And what does that process look like? So right after the contract is signed, right, the bank goes ahead and orders an appraisal. An appraiser could take 1 to 2 weeks to get that report, right? And depending on the appraisal, right, if the appraisal says, hey, you know what, the house you have it, you put it on the contract for $500,000, but it's really worth $480,000. That's when we need to go back, negotiate, and figure out what we need to do to still get you that home. The buyer attorney will order a survey. They're also going to order a title. They're very different. The survey is to measure the land. The title is to really see who the owner is. And we have here someone from title that is going to go over what title is and why it's so important. And getting ready for the closing. We're almost there, guys, I promise you. So once we have the title clear, everything is clear, now you need to get a bank clearance. This is why Sean was saying it's very important that you don't change jobs or don't change anything around, because the bank has to track and see that you're still working, that your credit is still good, that you still have the money you said you had. And after the bank checks and gives that clearance, then there goes a closing disclosure. I advise all my clients, you want to review your closing disclosures. You want to see how much money you're going to be giving, where the money is going to be divided, because we're all human. Everyone makes mistakes, but you got to make sure that you check your closing disclosures, because that tells you how much money you need to bring in, and it goes everything into details about the financing. Once you have the closing disclosure and you sign off, you get a closing schedule. The attorneys usually schedule them. You do a final walkthrough with me. We look through the entire home. We make sure that whatever was pinpointed in the inspection was corrected. I checked everything with you guys. I checked the electricity. I checked the plumbing system. We go deep in and make sure that you're getting the home that you know you were getting when you first walked into that door, and that there's no issues. And then after the walkthrough schedule, then you go ahead and you go to the closing table. This entire process takes between 45 to 80 days. So just letting you know, it does take a little while. That's why you need to have the right team that's going to guide you through this entire process. Me as a realtor, I am constantly communicating with the attorney, with the bank, with the title company, just to make sure that everything is done correctly so that you can close as soon as possible with the less amount of stress and headaches. And here are just some common deal killers. Sean already spoke about the debt and also the appraisal, like I just mentioned. Also, issues coming up during the inspection. I just want you guys to know, even though these are potential deal killers, there's always a solution. My job is to find you a solution for all your needs. So we want to make sure that at least you are aware of what can come up when you're buying a property.